Way back in 2011, Bradley Cooper starred in this movie called Limitless. It's about a guy who takes this drug, and within days he's writing novels, making millions from the stock market, and is this social, charismatic genius that he wasn't before. His mind becomes this precision-like instrument, laser-sharp focus, quick to respond, and always making connections that other people can't seem to see. Now, of course, this is just a movie, but it begs the question. What if the way your mind operates right now isn't anywhere close to what it's actually capable of? And what if you could access even 10% more of its capacity without taking any drugs to achieve more? This is something I've wondered deeply about ever since seeing the movie. So, let's talk about it. Before we fully dive in, if you're somebody who struggles to focus, check out the 3-day Focus Recovery Challenge in the description below. There's a massive difference between your brain's potential and how it actually operates on a day-to-day basis. In fact, most of us are barely hanging on. Maybe we're using 20 to 30% of what our brain is actually capable of. And the thing is, we've been living this way for years, with social media use, with mainstream news, with technology at our fingertips 24/7. And as a result, as we've talked about in other videos, your brain's overall cognition decreases rapidly. And this scattered, foggy, living in a zombie-like trance becomes the norm. People walking around with their phones in their hands like this, people walking in with their headphones in, people not being able to sit in silence and just appreciate what's around them, like right now. Because they're always so plugged in. Our pleasure-seeking behaviors of always wanting to be plugged in and stimulated has led to the demise of our brain's abilities. And I was in this position too. So I don't sit here on my high horse saying, all you dummies. No, we've all been there. And that's why I'm so passionate about talking about these things as I do. There's this myth that we use about 10% of our brains. That's not exactly true. Neuroscientists have debunked the myth and have found that we actually use most of our brains for different functions. So when you move around and when you think and when you listen to things and when you process information, you're all using different aspects of your brain. The issue is that we're not using our brain well. As I mentioned before, most people are living in this zombie-like trance, operating at a low cognitive level. And to me, it's like owning a Ferrari, but driving with the parking brake halfway up. Sure, you might still move, but you're not gonna go very far and you're not gonna go very fast. A Ferrari is a performance car, but if the parking brake is up, then you won't perform at your best. And in this case, the parking brake represents the distracted, scattered mind of most people. Most people live in a very restricted circle of their potential being. They make use of a very small portion of their possible consciousness and their soul's resources in general, much like a man who, out of his whole organism, should get into a habit of using and moving only his little finger. William James. What William James is getting at is that we get so caught up living out the same routines, indulging in the same habits, going to the same places, and doing the same repeatable patterns every single day that we never get to truly experience what's beyond that. We limit our consciousness to what's comfortable and what's pleasurable. And as a result, we see the negative effects on our brain, on our psyche, on our overall mental health and way of operating in the world around you. Now, of course, the brain can only handle so much. Your attention is finite. Your memory is finite. But there are multiple things you can do to develop your overall cognition and get just about 10% of your brain power back from wherever it was in that distracted, zombie-like trance of a state. This is the idea of neuroplasticity. Your brain's ability to think, your brain's ability to learn and change as new sensory input comes in and you consciously decide to learn these things. Anybody can increase their brain's neuroplasticity, but it does take some work. So, let's talk about what you can do to develop and strengthen this neuroplasticity so you can improve your overall cognition. So from all the reading I've done, the research I've done, and personal experiments I've engaged in, here's my belief. Your ability to improve cognition and access deep flow states is directly linked with your willingness to create psychological integration within your own mind. To think clearer, focus more intently, and come to realizations most other people can't, you must do the things other people aren't willing to do. And this one thing that most people are not willing to do is look inward. Explore the depths of your own mind. Understand why you operate the way you do. Understand your psyche. Understand your behavioral and neural patterns, which help you, or at least influence the way you function in the world. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. And maybe you think this is some mumbo-jumbo, woo-woo bullshit, and in that case, I get it, because I've been there. But it runs much deeper than this. So in 2004, researchers brought in a bunch of Tibetan monks to the lab. They hooked them up to these brain devices, and they had them meditate. In these deep states of meditation, the scientists assessed the brainwave patterns of these Tibetan monks. And what they realized was incredible. All the monks showed dramatically increased gamma wave activity, the highest ever recorded in awake humans, which creates profound brain changes. Now, here's what this means. When you can enter states like this, it improves your alertness, orienting, and executive attention, which is essentially an upgrade to your brain's operating system. Now, all these Tibetan monks had meditated for at least 10,000 hours. And that's a long time. The good thing is there's even more to the story. You don't need to meditate for 10,000 plus hours in order to see these brain changes. They did even more research, and they found that even folks who meditated for 5 days straight saw significant changes in their overall neuroplasticity. Just 5 days. That's all it takes. You don't need to put in 10,000 hours. While I do recommend something like meditation daily, it's not a necessity, but the data is clear. People who look inward, people who spend the time meditating, trying to understand the depths of their mind, have a serious advantage in terms of their overall cognition and how they operate in the world around them. I don't have the drugs or the secrets to help you unlock 100% of your brain's capacity. That is, as far as I know, impossible. But if you can get an increase of even 5 or 10% of your brain's capacity, improve your overall cognition, then that seems worth it to me. And meditation, looking inward, seems to be the way to go. I also know this: the ability to think clearly, develop a long attention span, and focus intently for extended periods of time in flow states is mandatory if you crave personal growth, better conversations, and a mind that works for you instead of against you. You're an entrepreneur, deep thinker, or somebody who wants to become a high performer. You want to prove you can follow through, even if your track record is mostly abandoned ideas. Because your ability to progress and see legitimate changes in your life is a direct result of your mind's ability to function at its peak. Take this seriously. Do the inner work, the journaling, the meditation, the active imagination. Look inward. In a world where people are frantically trying to get these novel dopamine hits, where people are so plugged in, and where people can't seem to pay attention to the world around them, if you become somebody who can, that is, in fact, a superpower. I'll end it here. As I said, I have a 3-day focus challenge below to start your journey into doing this. And yeah, that's it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're here, and share this with somebody who you know has a cooked attention span, somebody who wants to become one who can focus, somebody who wants to do meaningful work but just hasn't been able to. Maybe this will help them out. Alrighty then, you take care.